So it's finally that time of year again when we're shopping for the special person in our life or someone we know, they're a tech head or they just like to make things. So today I've compiled a list of tech, content creation specific and video photographer related gear that I think is really, really good. Now, I haven't left any affiliate links down below. I want you guys to spend the money at either your local camera shop or small businesses, but ultimately I'll just give you down below the list of the actual item and kind of a small description of what it actually is so you can see if it aligns with the person you're shopping for. A lot of these items on this list are meant to be items that can grow with the person you're shopping for. So it's not like you're buying them a camera lens coffee mug. I'm also under the belief it's better to spend slightly more money, get a product that they'll use for 4 or 5 years than getting them a bunch of smaller, cheaper stuff. Okay, a little sip of an energy drink. Shout out my boy Jayhawk, Lab Culture hat, and the Ghost energy drink. A lot of glaze right now, but I need this energy getting through this big part. Before I get into the list, at the $100 price range, I do not suggest getting any SD cards or SSDs. Although I think the gift is there are a lot of different specifics you need for an SD card. For example, in my workflow, I use 3 types of SD cards. This is a CF Express Type B. This is an SSD. This is a V90. So there's a lot of complications when it comes to SD cards. And unless you know specifically the kind of kit that that person has, I wouldn't suggest getting it unless they request a super specific one. Without further ado, first item on the list is digital products. Although it's a digital product, it's not creating physical waste. And a lot of these digital products can help your workflow. They can help you edit better. They can be time savers, whatever. How I would suggest doing this for the person you love is writing a little note for $100 worth till their next plugin, LUT, or whatever. Because me as a creative, I always have a running list of digital products that I want to purchase myself. And they usually sit between that $20 to $80 range. Plugins, which are additions to programs like Adobe, DaVinci, those usually end up on the higher end of the spectrum, where editing assets and photo editing assets like LUTs, presets, filters, etc. typically sit from the $20 to $50 range. Some good companies that you could mention in this note would be Acid Byte, Tropic Color, AE Scripts. These are all other marketplaces that provide digital assets that are really good and add additional flair to video, photo, content creation. So they take a little bit of understanding of whether that person that you care for shoots video or photo, because that's probably where they're gonna lean to on what assets they wanna have. Check their social media and look what they're into, and then that'll kind of lead you down the way. Ask them who their favorite creators are, look up their creators, and see if you can help support these other smaller creators and creators they follow with their presets, etc. Buying a camera bag for someone is a very hard task unless they've told you exactly what they want. This is the best solution fit for 90% of people, and that is this. This is the Urth Arc Rose Camera Cube. It is the 3.7 liter version. What this actually is it's just a little camera cube that you can put stuff in, and it comes with dividers that you can put in a side bag. This is the Uniqlo side tote. It's kind of like a Bag-U. Urth bag fits perfectly in here. So the reason I suggest getting a camera cube, it allows them to put their camera gear in a safe padded bag, but then switch bags around depending on their fit of the day or what they actually want to wear or what bags they have. I think it's a really good option nowadays as well, since we see the rise of day in the life content. Especially, you don't want them to have a big camera bag that shouts, "Hey, I have a bunch of expensive camera gear in here, come look at me," where this can fit into a tote bag, a Trader Joe's tote bag, whatever, and it blends in really incognito. And that retails for about $75, so I think it's a really good option for this holiday season. And that's it for bags, because I don't really believe in locking in someone to one style of bag, but giving them the flexibility to choose the bag that they want to have. So for the next section of the $100, it's going into grip, lighting, and rigging. The first item I think is the most universal. That's why I'm going to list it first. It is a Smallrig magic arm with a super clamp. To get a better understanding of this, a super clamp is literally just a big clamp that can tighten down on any object, corner, board, and it's meant to support weight. And the magic arm is basically an arm that you can adjust. I have one of these, but I use it all the time to rig lights on vari poles or other things. I've used it to hang mics. I've used it to hang my camera, to get overhead shots for this YouTube channel. It's a very versatile piece of grip, and it was one of the suggestions one of my friends had given me early on in my career to get. I will say there is a cheaper option out there with the Smallrig magic arm. I wouldn't suggest this one. The more expensive arm is gonna last them a lot longer. For example, I've seen photographers in MLS, NBA use it to mount a flash onto like the boarding steps of a plane. Now, a lot of brands make different versions. I have the impact version. I'm suggesting the Smallrig one because it fits in that price range. If you go with the impact version or the Smallrig one, it won't totally matter. Similar designs, and they all work essentially the same. The next piece of gear takes on that similar rigging aspect, but it's really meant for cameras. It's a magic arm. What a magic arm essentially is it allows you to mount one thing to another thing. They have two different heads with a clamp. You can change out the heads and put different attachments on either side. I suggest the one from Kondor Blue because I feel like they make really good quality products. The price is a little bit more expensive than other ones, but the options for the heads on Kondor Blue are actually pretty good. So I think the variety is there. You're paying a little bit more money, but it's made in America, so you're not paying tariffs. You're supporting a local business and a really good company at that. Having a magic arm is a really good piece of kit when you start building bigger professional rigs, or even if you have a small little rig just to hold a monitor, to hold a recording module, to hold a mic, whatever you want to use it for. They're very versatile. So that's why I think it's a really good gift, because once that person can figure out what they want to use it for, it can fit a multitude of different things. For photographers, I wouldn't actually suggest this one as much, but if they need to use it to mount like a external flash or something, or they need to mount a GoPro or something else, they could use it. Most of the time I see it with videographers for external monitors, etc. The next item on the list is another versatile piece of grip and rigging equipment. It's a suction mount. The one I use is from Smallrig. It's about $45. The one I'm suggesting here is the Kofi clamp and spend $175. You can get the action kit, which comes with a magic arm and a suction mount. What's great about a suction mount is it can really mount on any piece of glass, on sides of cars. You can get very interesting angles with a suction mount. But this would mainly be for video focused content creation and, you know, people who like cars or people who do car photography. It might be really good for that, or car videography. Wow. Okay. If you've gotten this far in the video, take a sip of water, pause, leave a like. The last item on this rigging is the Ulanzi TT38 tabletop tripod. Retails for about 50 bucks. It's what I'm currently actually shooting on right now. I use it all the time. It's super small. You can put it in a bag. The only caveat I will say is it requires the F38 quick release system. Even if they are in a different quick release system, this tabletop tripod can work really well, and it might make them switch, but I would check to make sure what kind of system they actually use before doing this. But I think it's a really, really good tabletop tripod. So cheers to being done with the second section of $100. I'm almost done with my energy drink, and I've been talking about products for the last like 20 minutes. Thank you guys for watching for this long. The next section of the $100 is gonna be lighting. Nowadays, the trend for having an everyday photography camera, something that's small and pocketable, has been all the rage. I used to own a Fuji X100V before I sold it, and now I currently use my Canon R5 with a very small pancake lens as just an everyday walk around camera. And especially with an everyday camera, when you're taking it around to parties or hanging out with your friends, having an external flash that you could take on or off, I think is super, super cool. It is the Godox IT30 Pro. It is a small compact flash that sits on top of your camera and can provide that disposable camera look. Now it retails for about $70. The thing I will say is make sure when you're buying this, you know what type of camera they have. If they have a Canon camera, I would get the Canon version. If they have a Sony camera, I would get the Sony version. So check out the review below if you're really interested and you think this might be a good option. He's a really good creator, and I think he deserves all the love for recommending this item, and his video is really good. So the final product on the list is for someone who maybe they work in the creative industry, but they're not really on set, shooting, doing creative work. What can you get them? And that's the Amaran Verge. It's a light panel. It's a very small, high quality light, and you can buy additional stands to help them elevate their desk setup and add additional light for Teams meetings, Zoom calls, Google Meets, whatever they need. Or if they're just shooting talking head stuff like this, it's a really good small compact light that doesn't take up a lot of space. And it's great for streamers, people who want to record themselves while gaming. And there are a lot of accessories that Amaran has released over the last year. Kind of like the Godox small little flash I recommended earlier, it is the Amaran Ace 25C. Now this retails for about $100. You want to be sure that when you're checking out or looking at this item that it has the C modifier. That means it's a color. Here's a helpful tip if you're looking to buy a light for someone you love. There's 3 types of indicators typically. There's daylight lights that are typically only daylight, so it's usually around 5600K white balance, which is the color of the white light. As you can see, this is a white light back here, but it's really, really warm, where the light that's streaming on me right now is more daylight. So there's 2 different color temperatures there. There's usually a bicolor light, which means a light that can change between that warm and cool white light. And then there's C or colored lights that can do the full RGB spectrum, plus being bicolor. That's why I suggested going with the C version of this, because it's a very small compact light that someone could throw in the back of their scene, as well as if they wanted to use it as like a kind of like a paparazzi music video style light mounted on front of their camera. If they're doing recaps, weddings or whatever, it's a good constant light. And being able to change colors and color temperature allows it to be way more flexible in the long run. So that's it for the lighting section of this board. In the miscellaneous section, these are items that really are dependent on the camera they use, the style of stuff they shoot, and what kind of stuff they want to get into. First is Prism Lens FX. So what's really good about Prism Lens FX is they have a lot of these cool different filters that can fit on the front of your lens that can offer a variety of different shots. What I shot with a kaleidoscope filter of a trophy. It's stuff like this that get creative and push myself if I'm in a rut sort of thing. So I think it's a good gift. In that case, they also have ones that don't fit a filter and you hold in front of the lens and they distort the image that way. So those are good for videographers and photographers. Perhaps again, maybe this is where you give them money allotted towards that, or you say, hey, pick 2 or 3 filters off this website and I'll purchase them for you, and that might add up. But one filter usually ends up being around that $100 mark, and some of the handheld filters and the more professional filters are a little bit more expensive, but I think they're a quality product, and Prism Lens FX really does a good job. The 2 final in the miscellaneous category are actually pretty quick. So the first one is going to be a simple, just get them a battery for their camera. Now, a lot of people might be like, well, that's just kind of a cop-out. Well, at the same time, like, you're buying for your third cousin once removed at a big family gathering, and you're like, I know them pretty well, I know they do this. At the same time, like, I don't want to get them anything too crazy. A battery goes a long ways. I wouldn't suggest it if it's like your long-term partner who already has a lot of batteries, but just make sure you're buying the right brand for their camera. The last and final miscellaneous under $100 gift is actually up here. You can kind of see it up there right above the skateboard. It is an Apple box. All an Apple box is just a wooden box. That's it. They're such a versatile piece of production furniture, I would say. You can use them to literally raise the height of a laptop, raise the height of a tripod. You can use them to have your subject stand a little bit taller. It's very famous that Tom Cruise would stand on Apple boxes behind the scenes and cameras to make sure that there wasn't a drastic difference between his height and the other person in the shot. Doesn't seem like the craziest thing, but I've even used this thing around my house to get to the higher parts of a shelf, because being a 5'7" man, I can't reach everything that tall. Like, I bought this 2 years ago. I'm never gonna get rid of it. Now, I would also suggest this if you are a handy person in your life and you're trying to get something for your friend and you already have wood in your wood shop, you already feel like you can build it, go ahead. They're pretty inexpensive. They come in 4 different sizes online. The one I currently use is a Matthews, and it retails for about $75 to $80. It's the full size. So yeah, I think it's a really good gift. although it seems kind of funny and it seems kind of simplistic. So I know this video is super long. Thank you guys for your time. Hopefully this list has spurred some ideas. Regardless, I hope the gift you're giving to the person in your life goes a long way. So have a happy holiday season. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.